You think you're solving the problem by thinking more. But instead, the thoughts spiral. What if I fail? What did I miss? Why haven't I fixed this? You replay conversations, ruminate over the past, forecast every possible future. You call it analysis, productivity, even preparation. But deep down, something in you knows this is not freedom. So the question surfaces again, quiet but sharp. Why can't I stop overthinking? Why does my mind keep running in circles, chasing solutions that never come? And what if the answer lies not in another app, another hack, another technique, but in a philosophy over 2,000 years old? A way of thinking born not in comfort but in constraint. A man who lived in chains once taught the world the art of inner liberty. His name was Epictetus. Born into slavery in the Roman Empire, Epictetus came into the world with nothing. Not freedom, not property, not even bodily autonomy. For much of his early life, even his limbs were not fully his own. His leg crippled, perhaps broken by a cruel master. But Epictetus would become a giant, not through wealth or power, but by mastering the only thing he truly owned, his mind. Studying under the Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus, Epictetus absorbed and expanded a radical insight. True freedom is not granted by society. It is not dependent on circumstances. It lies in the sovereignty of one's inner judgments, in the ability to choose your response to whatever befalls you. In a world obsessed with control, Epictetus turned inward, teaching that peace does not come from manipulating the external world, but from understanding the architecture of thought itself. And in an age like ours where distraction is constant, self-monitoring is relentless, and overthinking feels inescapable, his wisdom may be more urgent than ever. Overthinking is not simply too much thought. It's a specific kind of distortion, anxiety masquerading as reflection. It begins innocently, question, a doubt, a flicker of concern. But like a spark in dry brush, it spreads, gathering intensity with every what if. And beneath it all, there is almost always fear. What if I make the wrong choice? What if I lose control? What if I am not enough? That last fear of losing control is key, because according to Epictetus, human suffering begins precisely where our desire for control exceeds our actual power. He drew a line, what he called the dichotomy of control. There are things within our power, our judgments, our choices, our intentions. And there are things outside our power, outcomes, other people's opinions, the past, the unfolding of fortune. But overthinking blurs that line. It lures us into rehearsing scenarios, imagining every possible failure, all in the hope that if we just think hard enough, we can secure certainty. But instead of bringing clarity, it feeds the very storm we fear. So how do we step out of this cycle? The Stoics never promised a life without thought. What they offered was a method, an internal discipline that turns thought from torment into tool. Epictetus begins with something deceptively simple: assent control. Not every thought is worthy of your belief. Not every impression deserves your consent. Think of how quickly we give in. A text goes unanswered, and suddenly the mind floods with stories. Did I offend them? Are they angry? Am I being ignored? We rarely stop to ask, is this true? Instead, we assent, automatically, uncritically, emotionally. But the Stoic trains himself to pause, to hold each thought to the light and ask, is this real? Is it within my control? Is it aligned with virtue? That pause is everything. It cuts the chain between thought and suffering. And in the space that follows, you find the first glimpse of freedom. But the Stoics didn't stop at pausing. They developed a full discipline of attention called prosocion. Not scattered awareness, but focused vigilance. Not attention to everything, but to the right things. In our world, attention is pulled in every direction. You wake up and scroll. You answer emails while walking. You jump from worry to worry like stepping stones through fire. Overthinking thrives in this fragmentation. But the Stoics return to center. They ask, does this thought cultivate courage or fuel fear? Is this question leading me toward justice or toward self-pity? Through this lens, thought becomes purposeful. Not a storm to endure, but a compass to guide. Still, what happens when even right thinking cannot untangle the knot? What happens when you've reflected, journaled, asked all the right questions, and clarity never comes? Here, Epictetus offers something profound, almost paradoxical. Let go. Modern neuroscience has confirmed what the Stoics intuited. The conscious mind is not the sole seat of wisdom. Often, after clear framing and honest effort, the deeper solution arises only when we stop chasing it. The Stoic steps back, takes a walk, washes the dishes, sleeps. And in that stillness, clarity often arrives, not through control, but through release. This is not passivity, it is alignment. Epictetus believed in a rational order, what the Stoics called the logos, a kind of divine logic that animates the universe. When we align with it, by acting virtuously, by accepting what we cannot change, we restore inner harmony. And in that harmony, the mind finds its own way home. Overthinking usually begins with the question, what should I do? But the Stoic reframes it. What would the wise person do here? What does virtue require of me now? This shift from outcome to character breaks the cycle of fear. Let's say you're facing a difficult choice, maybe a job opportunity. It pays well, but something feels misaligned. Your thoughts spiral. What if I say no and regret it? What if I take it and hate it? Epictetus offers a new compass. Ask not, will this make me happy? Ask, is this courageous? Is this honest? Does it serve justice? When choices are filtered through virtue, the fog often lifts. Fear may still whisper, but it no longer commands. And when fear persists, the Stoic trains for it. Through premeditatio melirum, the practice of imagining misfortunes before they arrive, not to invite dread, but to rehearse strength. If I fail, I'll respond with grace. If I'm judged, I'll answer with character. If I lose, I'll mourn, then rebuild. This is not pessimism. It is preparedness. By giving shape to the shadows, we make them bearable. We become ready not just for success, but for life as it is. But all of this takes structure, ritual, containment. That's why Stoics began each day asking, what virtues will I practice today? And ended it asking, where did I fall short, and how can I refine myself tomorrow? Today we call it journaling, reflection, mindfulness, but at its core, it's about creating boundaries for thought. Uncontained thought floods, but channeled thought nourishes. Freedom does not come from removing limits. It comes from choosing the right ones. But what if your overthinking isn't just a habit, but a symptom? What if the thoughts feel obsessive, intrusive, unmanageable? Here, modern Stoics offer a vital reminder. Suffering is not always a failure of virtue. Sometimes it's a wound, a signal, a call for care. Stoicism is not about silent endurance. It is about wise response. And sometimes wisdom means asking for help. Therapy, community, rest. These are not betrayals of the Stoic path. They are expressions of courage, humility, and the will to grow. To say, this is beyond my current strength, but not beyond all strength. I will seek aid. That too is an act of freedom. So let us return to the beginning. Why can't you stop overthinking? Because your mind, in trying to protect you, overreaches. It seeks control where none exists. It clings to imagined certainty. But Epictetus offers another way. Frame the problem, sift the judgments, act in virtue, then release it. This is not giving up. It is showing up fully, truthfully, and wisely. You are not your thoughts. You're the one who decides which thoughts to believe, which to follow, which to let pass like clouds across the sky. And when you align with virtue, when your thoughts serve courage, justice, temperance, wisdom, begin to think not compulsively, but clearly. And in that clarity, you are free. He was born a slave, he died a sage. Epictetus owned no land, no title, no riches, but he possessed something more rare, a mind in harmony with itself. And across centuries, his voice still whispers, if you wish to be free, begin by mastering your mind. So the next time your thoughts begin to spin, pause, ask, is this mine to control? And if not, let it go. Let reason flow, because Epictetus never promised a quiet mind. He promised something deeper, not silence. Sovereignty. This is Philo Wisp, Ancient minds meet modern questions, and the answers might just set you free.